We're approaching that time of the year in the UK where people are starting their day by scraping frost off the windscreen of their car. Meanwhile, on the Gold Coast, I'm starting my day with a surf and breakfast on the beach before going to work. And that's just the start, because there's 5 things that the Gold Coast has that the UK just never will.
Until I was 26, I grew up in the UK, where a day out usually started with a big umbrella, a very warm raincoat, and a soggy picnic. The Gold Coast has changed my perspective on what a weekend outing or an evening stroll looks like. 7 months in, here's 5 things that the Gold Coast has that the UK just never could.
In the UK, surfing means really thick wetsuits, freezing cold water, and maybe 2 to 3 months of waves if you're lucky. On the Gold Coast, the water is warm year round. Okay, does get a bit cooler in winter, but it's not unbearable, and absolutely fine with a wetsuit on. And again, surfing before work is pretty normal. I don't really get the time to surf before work in winter, which is maybe like 2 or 3 months. But for the rest of the year on the Gold Coast, I can surf before work. It's not all sunshine and rainbows though. On the weekend, if you do try and get a surf in when the surf is actually good, it can be a little bit chaos, particularly if you go down to like Currumbin or Snapper. It is crazy busy, so sometimes finding a beach break is the best idea. Point being, it's not a special holiday, it's just like a Tuesday morning routine, which blows my mind. Where I'm from in the UK, in Cheshire, your closest rainforest is, probably Scotland, maybe. Whereas here it's like a 30-40 minute drive. We've got access to Mount Tambourine, we've got Springbrook National Park, which means you've got unlimited access to beautiful rainforest hikes, loads of waterfalls. We particularly like Springbrook National Park. I'd say it's that little bit more beautiful than Tambourine. Mount Tambourine, however, is definitely worth a visit if you are visiting Gold Coast or if you live here and you've not been yet. I still remember my first hike and it was like stepping into a totally different world. And the best part, you can go from surfing on the Gold Coast to hiking through the Hinterland in 40 minutes. We also went on a hot air balloon ride over the Hinterland, which I would absolutely recommend. This isn't a sponsored section of the video, we just really enjoyed it. It was really beautiful and we went during sunrise and it was just phenomenal. So if you do want to go and do that, I will pop a link for it down below. One of the biggest differences, and you'll have heard this in every other video that a Brit has made about coming to the Gold Coast, including my last video, if you want to go and watch that, it's linked up top. It's how much the weather controls your life in Britain. You don't make weekend plans without checking the forecast 3 times. And even then you might pack an umbrella and it's only meant to drizzle for maybe an hour during the day. And turns out you get rain all day. It seems that this summer they've had a pretty good time of it, where they've been able to have a couple of barbecues, but here the lifestyle is literally designed to be outdoors. There is barbecues all down the beach that are free to use, cafes that overlook the sea, people that go for a walk or a run along the beach just before work, and on the weekends, naturally people spend it outside. It doesn't really matter what you're doing, whether it's a surf, a hike, just sitting outside, going to the beach. The sun and the warmth particularly, it just means that the default is an outdoor activity. And this isn't a psychology video, but I'm sure you're aware of the psychological benefits of being outside. So instead of planning my life around what the weather's doing at the weekend, I can plan my life depending on what I want to do on the weekend, which makes a huge difference. And this kind of constant, reliable outdoor lifestyle the UK just could never do. Let's talk about markets. In the UK, most Christmases we go to some form of outdoor/indoor market, whether it be Liverpool or Manchester. They were my local markets. And they're lovely and we usually go with friends and family and there's hot drinks and chestnuts and it's a really good atmosphere. But what if you could have that year round? On the Gold Coast, the vibe is totally different. For example, Miami Marquetta. If you're on the Gold Coast, you know what I'm talking about. And if you've visited, you probably also know what I'm talking about. Street food from all over the world, live music, and a lot of schooners. But even if that's not your vibe, there's so many pop-up markets along the front, particularly on weekends. So like the Sunday markets at Burley, you can head down to Byron's, very often Sunday markets down there. There's the Narang market. There is heaps of markets that you can go to. I think it's things like that that really bring the community of Australia together, and it really shows in the way that the people's attitude are to each other and to people that they don't even know. And this is probably the biggest difference of all. Adventure here isn't something that you plan months in advance. It can be, but you don't have to. In the UK, a skiing trip is in France at the Alps. Surfing means driving hours to Cornwall in the hopes that you'll be able to get a wave. Hiking often means mud, fog, rain, and being left freezing cold, wanting a bath at the end. Everything adventurous in the UK is seasonal, and if it's not seasonal and you just go for it anyway, you'll be paying for it afterwards. Or it requires like big travel. On the Gold Coast, we found that adventure is very spontaneous. We can wake up on a Saturday and decide what to do on the day. We often find ourselves in a position on a weekend doing something that we would not have expected. And I really need to drill this down. This is not just once a year. This isn't just 6 times a year. This can be every weekend. I suppose what I'm saying is it's about having constant access to a lifestyle that feels adventurous rather than being stuck inside. Not to mention everything else that's indoors that you can do activity-wise is pretty expensive for someone that's just working a normal 9 to 5. It's more about having constant access to experiences that feel extraordinary. But here, it's totally normal. I'll always love the UK. It's home. It's where I've made some of the best memories of my entire life, and it's where my family and friends live. But the Gold Coast makes life feel like it's a holiday every Monday morning. If you're curious about what life's like down under, then subscribe, because I've got lots more stories and ideas that I'm going to be coming with soon. But for now, that'll be everything. My name's Dan, I'm a creator, and I'll catch you in the next video. Goodbye.